Alright, brothers and sisters, October is finally over, the worst month we've seen so far this year. November is here. Is it gonna be an up November, or is it really over? Are we really gonna see an all season? We just got 2 months left on this year, so this is very important topic to talk about in today's video. So with no further ado, let's get into it. And as usual, remember, I'm not a financial advisor. This show is not financial advice. This show is for entertainment, some education, and hopefully finding God. Now looking at Bitcoin, we can see that Bitcoin is slowly trying to gain back into this previous range, which is still above it right now, and we are at 110,000. So if we look at the most important things here, is that we are still above 100k for Bitcoin. This is very bullish. The second thing is the weekly candle, which has not closed yet, so we've got one more day to go here. If we look at the Bitcoin bull market support band, we might really close above it. So usually what we've seen recently is every Sunday we see a pump now, and that the pump retraced by Monday, and then by Tuesday we continue whatever trend we continue. So we're gonna see how this plays out, but overall, if we look at the lower time frames here on Bitcoin, we can see that we're still in this uptrend, compressing uptrend here, and usually they do break out to the upside. So if I did not know what coin or what chart this is, I would say that usually those break to the upside. So mainly because we have these equal highs, which signals more strength, that we come back to the real high, the previous high, but we never come back to the previous lows. So that's very important to note here, that this is a strong formation here when we have two equal highs, but the lows are stronger, they are higher. So that's one second point here that I'm looking at here on Bitcoin, which tells me we're still likely seeing more upsides here on Bitcoin. And one important level is the 115,000, which is this yellow line here. If this breaks, I don't see why we don't target the highs here on Bitcoin in a new all-time high. So that's very important. As we're seeing, the stock market is still continuing and raging, and it's still strong. The stock market is still strong. So Friday closed green. We're gonna see how Monday plays out here, but it looks like the S&P 500 will continue. So it's still doing these higher highs, higher lows, especially that we've seen something really big, which is Nvidia. Now Nvidia just became the world's first 5 trillion company. This is crazy. So for perspective, Nvidia now is worth more than 2 Canadas, 166 Icelands, a Germany and a half, all US regional banks combined, the world's billionaires 3 times over, the entire NFL 35 times, every pizza sold in history. And you see the point here. This is crazy. So this is either a top signal for the stock or a major rotation. So usually this creates a lot of wealth when we see things like Nvidia stocks are rallying and everything, which in fact this is something we could really look at as a cause for why Bitcoin has been struggling, since we see probably a rotation from the ETFs that we've seen recently with Bitcoin and Ethereum. And since they are now more institutionalized, so the rotation is much easier for institutions to rotate from crypto to stocks, and then again from stocks to crypto. This could be the case as well, where we see rotation back to crypto, especially Bitcoin and Ethereum. And that also means causing more liquidity to join into the whole crypto space, which also benefits altcoins, which some of them are pumping today as well. We still got Zcash rallying a lot recently. We've seen Dash, which is also in the same narrative of privacy coins and everything, rallying as well today. Dash is rallying, but overall most of the coins are not really moving. So it's very, very localized. We have very few altcoins moving, but in general this does not happen in a bear market. In a bear market we don't have coins pumping at all, if ever. So in 2022 I don't recall any coin pumping, besides 1 or 2, but usually those that are coins that nobody ever heard of, not like your regular retail coin that everybody knows about, like Dash or Zcash or XCMR or those. So to me, so far, I don't see any real warning signs that it's over and that the market will crash, especially looking at Bitcoin. So Bitcoin is still holding strong. We can look at Ethereum as well. Ethereum is a bit weaker than Bitcoin, and it's very normal to see that. Nothing beats Bitcoin, but we can see mostly for Ethereum that we are more into a range here and not like an uptrend like I've shown you now with Bitcoin. Ethereum almost made it to this previous high. So almost, if we really look at the previous high, and also almost made it to the previous lows. So these are all, this is more like a range for Ethereum, where there is not really weakness and there is not really strength. And that really comes down to, if Bitcoin breaks out, I do believe Ethereum will follow. So that's really what Ethereum is doing here, going sideways. Both sides have equal strength, which means the bears are strong and the bulls are also strong. We don't see any real side winning here, which tells me mostly Bitcoin is leading here, and if Bitcoin breaks out, they will, or Ethereum will break out, causing also altcoins to follow. So when it comes to the altcoin season, and that's the most important here, will it ever happen, or will it happen in 2025? Now we have 2 months left, exactly 2 months left in 2025. And the worst thing that could happen ever happened the October 10th, where we have the largest liquidation event ever, worse than FTX. So is that the worst thing ever now? And is it, right? So if we look at others, this was October 10th, the crash, and now most of the coins are holding above it. Now we need others to start trending higher. That's the most important. That's all season. We need this to start trending higher. Now I have these 2 lines here. This indicates the previous all seasons we had. Now if I put, for example, Fetch or Fet AI, which is one of the coins that made me some decent gains in 2023, that I held from 2023 till the peak of January, February, and March of 2024. Now if we look at Fetch AI, for example, this is what it topped in others. First top, Fetch AI topped here and then tried to rally again on the second top. Now if we look at the second top, for example, other coins rallied on that second top. So for example, Pepe rallied on that second top, but also Pepe broke out of this long 1 year consolidation range here we have, and on this first rally, Pepe broke out. On the second one, Pepe made a new all-time high. So when we look at others here, we know that these 2 lines, vertical lines here I have, or these peaks, are the previous all seasons that we've seen so far since the bear market. Now this was the 2021, right? These 2 here, and now we have these 2 here from 2024 alone. So 2025, no all season so far. Since December of 2024, since Trump meme coin, no all season this far, which tells me now that the likelihood of it happening is just getting closer and closer. So it's been over a year, but between these 2 here, it's been less than a year, 259 days, while now we've been waiting for a long time now, 329 days, almost a year. So within 2 months, we're going to be within a year, after a year of no all seasons, which is understandable. This is why we're seeing fear at 33. We can barely get to extreme greed. It's because there is nothing to be optimistic about here. Retail and most of the people in crypto now haven't seen a boom or an all season for close to a year. So to me, what I'm thinking is, since we just seen the worst crash ever here, when it's really shown on this chart here, likelihood of our recovery is much higher than us just trending lower from here, because we just seen the biggest liquidation, deleveraging of everything. Now the sellers are gone, only the buyers are left, but we do need some bullishness to come into the market, which comes down to Bitcoin and Ethereum pumping. If those 2 do that, then we see this reversing. And if we look at this closely, if we do see another rally, this means we are rejecting from the all-time high, from the 2021 all-time high on others. And this is enough to get us an all season. Just keep that in mind. We don't need this to really rally hard. We just need it to take out this Trump apocalypse season high and 2021 high. So if we do see a rally here before real collapsing here forever, that will be enough for an all season. That's the thing. So keep that in mind as well, is that we don't need a lot of time for the all season, right? Like once the all season happens, it does not need to happen for a whole year. It just needs a few months. And within a few months, we see parabolic rallies. Now let's bring back Pepe, for example, here. So if we bring back Pepe, for example, and from this rally, from the first rally to this one here, this was a 40x, and overall, this was overall a 50x. So on this tiny move here. So another move like that one to all-time high for others is enough to get us an all season and a major one. This is when we're seeing real gains here. Pepe with BONK, fetch, AI injective, a lot of coins pumping right here without taking us to previous 2021 all-time high. And one thing as well to keep in mind is it doesn't need a lot. These are weekly candles, so if we look at when this happens, how long it stays for, it stays for 1 2 3 4 5 weeks. This one also was a bit more stretched, but the most explosive part was as well 5 weeks. So if we count this part here, just this part here, which was the most explosive, we see 1 2 3 4 5 green and 1 red. So let's say 6 weeks of pumps. So that's the thing to keep in mind. Even though we only have 2 months left in 2025, it is enough to see explosive rallies happen with altcoins. We just need 5 weeks in general to see a major alt season. Now, if we put the monthly candles, and even if we are getting a monstrous 2021 type of alt season, this one lasted a bit longer. This one lasted for 4 months. Now, if we're getting some type of 2021, this one in fact lasted for, let's say, 4 months and a half, because on the 5th month we crashed. So 4 months, if we are getting something like that, this means we're lasting till February of 2026. So if it's just has to happen in 2025 and not in 2026, then we're doing something similar to when we seen Pepe and other meme coins, and this major meme coin season happened back in 2024, February, March, or something similar to what happened in December of 2024. So if it just needs 2 months, that's what we're seeing. If we going towards February, then we're seeing mostly like a 2021 type of rally. So that's a bit harder to predict here. But what I'm seeing purely from the charts here is the likelihood of a recovery and of others, which means all season, is much higher than it's just crashing from here, based on what we just seen here. Now, there is another way to look at this as well, is if we divide it by Bitcoin and look at this against Bitcoin. And this chart here you've probably seen on Twitter a lot recently. A lot of people are talking about it. So this is others against Bitcoin. Once they outperform Bitcoin, this means as well we are in a major alt season, not like the one in 2024, but a major one like 2021 or 2017, which are these guys here. So this is your 2021 rally, and this is your 2017. And you can see since 2021 we haven't had a real major alt season. If we look at others against Bitcoin, a lot of people here are as well saying the same thing, is that this is the time we see this happen, right? This is, if there was a time for this to happen, it's now. And the reason is because we're at the lowest points ever for this Bitcoin, for this others against Bitcoin, which is pretty much the low we've seen for a long time here. So this is pretty much the low where we can say this is the floor for others against Bitcoin. So we pretty much are at it. So if there is a bounce to happen, so it has to happen now, even if we don't go back to these highs here, but a bounce should happen at least from these levels. And especially that we just got rate cuts and quantitative easing probably happening. So quantitative tightening will end by the 1st of December, and this means money printing. So probably we see this impact altcoins as well. And since stocks are really rallying and a lot of people could be priced out of Nvidia and all these higher stocks in rotation and everything, so I would say that a lot of factors are here to really help push this thing up and cause an alt season. And one last thing is the crypto fear and greed index, which is at 33. So this has pretty much been the best so far this year, and this last 3 years, the best indicator. Whenever it's its lowest point, it has been the best time to buy, and whenever it's at extreme greed, it has been the best time to sell. So now following just this alone is enough to really make money here in crypto. It's just by following. Whenever it's extreme fear, we buying. Whenever it's extreme greed, we selling. Whenever again it's extreme fear, we buy. Whenever again it's extreme greed, we sell. And this was extreme fear, the lowest ever. This was April of 2025, if you remember that. And then once we bounced, this was a real good bounce we had. Bitcoin, everything pumped pretty nicely here, and since then we haven't seen either extreme greed or extreme fear, but we're at fear. So pretty much to me this means a good buy signal here, but at some point it's going to stop working, obviously, once we have the bear market and it's just signaling fear all the time. So it makes no sense to be buying the fear all the time, but overall it's never been a bad idea to be buying the fear. That's what we've seen so far, and selling the extreme greed, which we have not seen since end of 2024 or the last alt season. So that's about it here, guys. I'm seeing a lot of good stuff here, especially when it comes to Bitcoin and Ethereum, and we have to see how the Monday will play out, but I'm seeing Bitcoin to be pretty strong here. If we do break 115 and a new all-time high on Bitcoin, or at least 123 should be hit, which will bring in more recovery for altcoins and give us a bit more time. Since we have only 2 months left in 2025, I do believe this is, if this really takes out and we have Bitcoin on a new all-time high, the next 2 months will be the most explosive months for crypto here. So anyways, guys, hope this was helpful. Thank you so much for watching this video till the end, and we'll see you on the next one. Cheers.